contracts.
Uh-huh.
I'm winding down this contract and getting ready to start another one.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be fun to just change what, new company, new set of problems. Good stuff.
Yeah, that was good stuff. So we've got our disruptions and discoveries this afternoon.
Yeah.
So April from HangOps actually is going to be presenting at that.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. She has a to the cloud migration story with some lessons learned from that. So that's always a fun and stressful time to think about, but always lots of lessons to learn from migrations.
Yep.
And always new and exciting incidents that happen when you do so. When you figure out, oh, that was a single point of failure, wasn't it? Jeremy Price. Let's get Jeremy Price in here.
Nah, how about that guy?
But he's got purple hair.
He's got purple. That's fair.
Yeah.
Does it
Purple hair automatically add purple hair. Yes. Unless they're gonna do what happened last week, because that there's just no purple hair that
that's not worth anything.
Let's not speak of that anymore.
Yeah, I was glad I was on my phone for that because I could only see like your face and Mandy's face and two other people.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever other screens popped up, I was not privy to. I just heard the sounds.
It was not an exciting time.
No, not the good kind of exciting anyway.
No, yeah, that's what I mean. It was not fun and exciting, as we were just talking about with cloud migrations. Those are always fun and exciting.
They're exciting. Also exciting, but also different exciting.
Yes, different fun.
Kinds of exciting. Yeah. Yes. Oh, I haven't done a good cloud migration in a while.
Is there such thing as a good cloud migration?
When you're done.
Yes. Yeah, I was at Chef when we migrated from EC2 to Rackspace Colo.
On purpose?
Yes. Because HA.
Okay.
We needed that sub-second failover of HA for the database.
Right. With overloaded IP addresses and
something.
Yeah,
I wasn't in the operations. Okay. There wasn't actually an operations team. There was one operations person, and then like all the dev team did all that stuff. That's why.
Wow, was that Ben back then or somebody else?
No, this is long before Ben.
Wow.
Who was running? I think that was before Polly even.
Hello. Sorry.
The doggo.
I heard the door pop open, which meant the dog came in. I had to close the door. Didn't see the dog. She had snuck behind me.
Ah, sneaky dog.
Sneaky dog. This is my dog.
Yeah.
She's popping on meetings. Anyway, you were saying before Polly.
Yeah, so it was before Polly was hired. This is like way back in the before times. I think, let's see, what was I doing? I think that was when John Willis had me getting on airplanes and going to see people using Chef in different places or teaching people to use Chef.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. And then we migrated back to EC2.
I remember when we moved from Rackspace to Azure, and then the Rackspace people were like, well, your bill was always $10,000, but now it's only $100. What are you guys doing? You're like, bye-bye.
Surprise.
Yeah, I'm
sorry,
you're not getting paid anymore.
Yep. Yeah. We moved back to EC2 when database changes were made, and I don't remember exactly all that, but Mark Harrison did a talk at ChefConf, I think that year, that right after we did that migration. So there's at one point there was recorded video. I don't know if the Chef channel still has like all the old ChefConf stuff on it anymore.
That'd be fascinating.
I've gone back and found some of the things that some talks that I did at Chef Confs and summits and stuff, but I don't know if it's hit or miss or if it's all in there. I miss Velocity though. There were always some fun migration stories that would come out of either Velocity Talks or the Velocity hallway track.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a fun con, and it was in New York, which was really handy. Well, half of it was in New York, which is
well,
convenient.
it started out, it was in Santa Clara.
Right.
Yeah. And I will never drink another Sierra Nevada pale ale again. That was the only non-yellow beer that they had at the hotel bar.
Yeah.
At that time. So
yeah, I'm so damn picky when it comes to beer. I just barely ever drink it when I'm out. I'm not snooty, I'm just picky. Like, yeah, I don't like many things.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate for socializing, but
yeah.
Things have gotten better though.
They have. Yeah.
More dark options and more non-alcoholic options.
Yes. Always a good plan.
Yeah.
Always a good thing. Yep.
The last cloud migration I did was we were moving from managed colo to AWS. And we were running, I might have mentioned here before, I don't know, we were running Windows and Cold Fusion and SQL Server and IIS and
I know that those are all words. And I know that those words are related to technology, but that is a stack I have never, knock on wood, never experienced.
Yeah, I was Windows admin back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Several years before this migration had to happen. So, and I'd never dealt with it in the cloud. And this was the one reInvent that absolutely paid for itself, top to bottom. When I walked by a booth in the expo hall, and I said, "Migrate your VMware workloads to EC2," and I went, "Oh, you mean I don't have to rebuild all these Windows machines that I don't know how to build, that there's no configuration management, no documentation for? Sweet."
Yeah.
And they did whatever needed to happen on the back end to like massage your, actually, no, that was, you could just copy straight from VMware into their system. And they had like a layer on top of EC2 with like drag and drop. Oh, I want this computer to be able to talk to, like, the drag and drop network layout stuff that you could do was really, really slick. But the big thing was, like, you could lift and shift your VMDKs straight into EC2 way before AWS had any sort of solution for that.
Was this, you remember what company that was?
Ravello.
Okay.
Ravello, Ravello.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. And then I had this janky ass Windows network set up on top of a layer on top of EC2. Just snapshot, because now I really can't rebuild this shit. But
yes,
but holy shit, it worked. And suddenly we dropped our hosting bill by like 3/4 by getting out of freaking managed colo.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was exciting.
Yeah, we at Chef, we had an Azure account. Well, so we had Active Directory running on, I think it was on a box in the Seattle office. And then that was VPN'd into a thing for hosted. And then that got moved to Active Directory running on Azure, because that was the way to do it, even though we were in AWS. And as far as I know, that Active Directory is, I mean, Progress is, bought Chef. So, and Progress was a Windows shop as far as like, like they use Microsoft Teams and Outlook and all that stuff, right? And the Azure stuff was connected to Okta, and then that was connected to our AWS stuff in order to do single sign-on for everything. And then we had an Okta AWS thing that Mark Harrison wrote to you'd run Okta AWS on your local machine that would log you into Okta, so you could log into the AWS accounts, and that was mind-blowingly amazing. And then everything worked, and like you could SSH into machines and log into Grafana and log into the AWS console and use the AWS CLI. Like all that shit was just amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, it was beautiful. The dreams of the 90s were alive in 2017. Single sign-on works everywhere. Finally.
Yeah, getting into SSH is a fun one. Like that's nice.
Yeah, I think that it was just SSH keys. Like we had the chef users cookbook ran on every machine, so we could just have our, like you edit a data bag and you put your SSH key into the data bag and then off it went, like the public key.
Okay, so it wasn't like real time calling out to the SSO.
Yeah, it wasn't doing that to log. Yeah, it wasn't logging in there, but like all that stuff was all integrated together and it, like tied into your. I think we switched it over to IAM credentials, maybe. I don't know. It's 2017.
Yeah. There is
I think the last time
go ahead.
Huh? I was gonna say, I think the last time I actually SSH'd into a machine in a production system was in 2017 or 2018. It's 2018.
Wow. Is that because you're just such an ops wizard?
No.
Or because you don't have to anymore?
No, I started managing the team.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, I did the career shift of IC to management. The manager of the team left, and he said, "You should manage a team." And I'm like, "I don't want to be a manager. Computers are way easier to manage than people." And he's like, "Yeah, but you should manage the team, like because it's me, because I've been there forever, and like I knew the team very well, and he knew that they'd be in good hands, so it worked out."
Nice.
Yeah, but yeah, I think the last time I logged into an actual system was somewhere around 2018. I had to.
I'm happy and sad for you.
I had to make a new SSH key because the private key was on my chef laptop, and when I left, I turned in the laptop and I forgot to copy the key. It's like, oh no, this I wasn't using that key for anything else, right? Like I don't have a home lab.
A little stack of Raspberry Pis in the corner?
No, I had a Raspberry Pi on my desk, but it wasn't plugged in. I think last time I loaded it, it was running a Ubuntu from like 2016, whatever that was. No, 20 earlier. I don't know.
It's probably trusty 1404. Which is knowledge I shouldn't have readily available, and yet I do.
Yeah, but that was an LTS. Yeah, when was the last time? No, I last used that Raspberry Pi to try and play Minecraft. Like the whole idea was that it was a very inexpensive way for my son to play Minecraft, because the Raspberry Pi was like $80, and all we have to do is just buy like a crappy 20-inch monitor, like $100. So $200 Minecraft machine, but it wasn't fast enough to run Minecraft very well. It could run it, but like you turn, and then your view changes. You go to hammer the block of wood to get that first stick, and you've clicked this many times, and then you start seeing the animation.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, it was so bad.
No. Yeah. Well, and those were deceptive because like they had a very particular type of graphics hardware on there that like if your application or your game like supported this particular thing, then it could do a whole lot, and otherwise.
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I think that pie is over on the table over there. You can't see it, obviously.
No.
And it's an embarrassing mess, so I'm not going to swing my camera.
That's actually why I moved offices from dining room into here, because the dining room is like our makerspace.
Oh, yeah.
Slash bike storage slash whatever. And yeah, no, it was abysmal. This is blurred, but actually like mostly organized.
Yeah. I have a shelf there that's mostly organized. And you can see O'Reilly books.
Ooh.
They're there for show.
Ones that you've written or ones that you've read?
I haven't read the book. I'm
You're too smart for that.
I have always wanted, since college, I've always wanted to be an O'Reilly author. However, I do not want to write a book.
That's conflict.
I would love to be a published author, but I don't want to write a book. So I did have the opportunity to write the chef book, but at the time the product was changing so dramatically and drastically every month that like it would have been an extra special example in the shit's outdated before it even gets to publishing.
So is that why? Because it took John a while to write that, right?
John Cowie?
Yeah, or were you thinking of a different book?
No, I was going to write the like the either Chef in a Nutshell or the Learning Chef, like the Pink Learning series. Gotcha. Or the Nutshell books. I was going to write one of those.
Gotcha.
And Seth Vargo, I think, wrote the Learning Chef one.
Okay.
And then John Cowie wrote the, what was it? Advanced. Do I have it on my shelf? I think it's downstairs. I have Test-Driven Infrastructure with Chef that Stephen Nelson Smith wrote.
Was John customizing?
Yes, customizing Chef. Yeah, that was the one with hi Sean, with like report handlers and custom resources and stuff. I think, yeah.
Getting the most out of your infrastructure automation. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, that shelf has mostly books I haven't read.
Well, that way they're easily available for you to pick up casually and eventually read them.
Yeah, well, so I went to work at Sim right after Chef last year, and Sim is a Python shop. So I have a copy of Fluent Python. But I don't work at Sim, and so like I don't need to read the Python book now. I also have 2 Go programming books there. Alma doesn't use Go. Like I was going to learn Go because like Chef Automate was written in Go. But yeah, those have been on the shelf for a while now.
Yeah. I eventually stopped myself from buying more O'Reilly books just because I was like, I can not pay for them and never read them versus paying for them and never reading them.
Right. Yeah. And then like if you move, you have to move all those books, and books are heavy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have a stack.
I started buying a few again, like Jen and Rins.
That stack there.
Oh, back
on the top. On the top, that is in fact the Armadillo book.
Ooh.
Along with it's not an O'Reilly book, but the Unix Systems Administrator Handbook.
Is that the yellow one?
The old one.
Mine's the red one.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's Evie Nemeth and
Evie Nemeth, my one of my buddies, she was his college professor. Yes.
Yeah.
That's old school.
So Trent is actually the organizer of the Boulder DevOps meetup. And so I've met him several times. I've spoken at Boulder DevOps a few times over the years. And I met Evie Nemeth at one of the meetups once. Before her, she went on a sailing trip and was lost at sea several years ago, sadly.
Oh, no.
But I did get to meet her, and I said, oh, I thanked her for the book, and she says, oh, well, thank you for Chef, and I'm like, oh,
When you're your
okay,
hero to your heroes.
sure. Yeah, that happened because Adam and I read this book, and the armadillo book. Yeah, that was a humbling experience. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, good people at that meetup, but unfortunately, the whole pandemic thing is, put a kind of a kibosh on meetups.
So my local had a DevOps meetup last night, and I signed up, and then I was like, I think I'm just not going to do this. I mean, there's only 9 of us instead of like 25, but still, I was like, yeah, I think I'm just not going to show. I don't feel good about this.
Austin has the December meetup where anywhere from 3 to 7 meetup groups join together and have one big 12 Clouds of Christmas thing, and it's a whole bunch of 5-minute talks.
Oh, that's great.
And it's one of the really great things to look forward to every year.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Terrell.
Hello.
And it was the smallest that it's, well, I think they didn't hold it in 2021 or in 2020. But it was the smallest I can recall it being ever this year. And I decided to go because, it was at a low point in all the charts. And it was interesting that experience of like going and it being kind of weird has prompted a discussion about in a few meetup groups about like, what is the future of your local tech meetup look like? And I don't know, it's interesting to see. And I guess I wanted to ask, are other folks seeing the same thing? Like people using this, multi-year change in how we do things to re-examine whether things need to happen at all? Because
like I said, I've been to the Boulder meetup, and they started having in person again several months ago, but they're also still doing the Zoom. And like Mark, I said, you know what, I'm just gonna not go, because Boulder's not terribly far from me, but it's just far enough. It's just far enough where I don't really want to drive up to Boulder and find parking and like all that. They're in a different location than they used to be, though, so that helps, because the previous Boulder meetup was in downtown, and it was a pain to find parking. Now it's in like a different area of Boulder that has a different kind of pain for finding parking, but it's less annoying. But yeah, like, I don't know, I have a meetup this afternoon that Alma runs, and we're doing it like it's all on Zoom. And all these online events, they're easy and low friction, right? Everybody's already in Zoom. That's also part of the problem, because everybody's already always in Zoom.
Yeah, there's a happy hour. Well, my company happy hours on Fridays, and most of the people who are at the company were at least some degree of removal. The thing I'm talking about, separation from the CEO and CTO before they were hired, like as friends, and so it's a nice social. In fact, I went to the happy hour before I worked here, and Mary's been invited forever because, right? And she's Mary, and she's like, I can't. I'll pop in and like sit down by you and say hi for 5 minutes, but like, because she's a director at her company and is just meetings all day. She's like, I spend so much time on Zoom during the week. the last thing I want. Like, I love you all.
Mhm.
I don't want to fucking be on Zoom anymore.
Yep.
So, like, I could see that more generalized as a barrier to fuck it. Let's just have all of our meetups be virtual now because it's fatigue.
It is.
There's
Yep.
Zoom fatigue. Like, seeing people in 3D is actually kind of cool. And no, I'm not talking the metaverse.
No, we all
Yeah.
need to have an Oculus on. Have you seen that going around today?
No.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
glorious. It's glorious. Sylvia posted it. It's
Yeah.
hilarious. Oh my God. It's a special thing. Yeah, the whole DevRel dev advocacy community thing where, you know, like the job role is just, you know, going to conferences, right? Like that's all the DevRel does. It's just they just go to conferences and shit post on Twitter.
Yeah.
Sure.
But you can't go to conferences now. It's all virtual and online. So you can literally conference hop. Like you can spend all your time just going into Zooms or hop in or streams or whatever. And yeah, the fatigue is real.
Although I got to tell you, the links to conference videos are like my online version of O'Reilly books. Like, cool, there's another link to conference talks that I won't watch. The way to get me to watch conference talks is for me to go to the fucking conference, because otherwise I'll just be like, yeah, I'll listen to that talk in the background while I'm coding this thing. Shut up thing. I'm deep in thought now. Right. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't like, unless it's like, no, you have to watch this specific talk. Okay. But like, oh, I'll just browse the.
I wish there were transcripts for more talks,
Yes.
because like I'm way more likely to read a transcript than I am to watch a canned video. Although at least with a canned video, I can crank it up to like plus 75% speed or something,
Mhm.
you know, depending on the speaker. Some people are perfectly clear at 50% faster.
Yes, and some people it's just unintelligible gibberish.
Yeah,
Some
Brian
people-
Cantrell, don't put him on.
No.
Sometimes for me
Brian's already at 2x speed.
Yeah.
sometimes for me you go a little bit faster and I get tense. Like it's still intelligible, but it makes the speaker sound hurried or stressed, and then it makes me stressed just listening to it, even though I need the faster.
Yeah.
My ADD needs it.
Yeah, I did a talk at Mountain West RubyConf like 8 years ago, and when they gave me the talking slot, they told me it was going to be this format, you know, this long and that sort of thing. Then somewhere along the way, they changed the schedule, and my talk slot went from 35 minutes to 20 minutes.
Ooh.
I didn't know that until the day before I was going, and I had prepared 180 slides because I don't do bulleted slides. I take those bullets and each bullet becomes a slide.
Mhm.
Right. So it's like a 60 slide talk for a 35-minute. Yeah, no big deal, right? So 180 slides. And so I just ramped up my talking speed and I finished it in 19 minutes and 36 seconds or something like that. It was very fast.
Yeah, it just occurred to me. I don't know why it never occurred to me before. Like, I go out and I walk this cute ass dog a couple of miles every morning, and I'll put on podcasts, but I could put on conference talks, hypothetically. Like,
Yeah.
the other problem there is like, if their
Diagrams.
slides actually need to be seen,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Most of the time they don't. Like my
Depends on the
slides
speaker.
don't need to be seen. I
depends.
don't.
Like, I think that's the right way to do it. Like, you know, they should be in accents, especially for accessibility reasons. But
yeah.
but sometimes like you've got diagrams that like are very descriptive and very salient to the point, right? You've
And
got
matter.
like there shouldn't be a wall of text, but like it can be actual content.
A lot of times a diagram will save you like 3 or 4 minutes of description.
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
you
Especially if
know,
you're talking about like concepts like build pipelines and where gates and phases are and like that kind of
yeah,
automation
anything
stuff.
architecty.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, most of my slides are an image with a word that is whatever thing I'm going to talk about on that slide. Yeah.
So I heard Evie mentioned earlier, and I just wanted to, I don't know how this will come through, but this
Oh,
is,
yes.
she was my CS professor in, 1989 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I actually just bought this shirt again because I couldn't find my old one. And
Oh,
they're
nice.
still selling it, but that is
Perfect.
Hey, do you guys like my shirt?
ISC.
Run GCC.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
I got that from the Free Software Foundation. They had a booth at Southern California Linux Expo in February 2020. It was a good
Nice.
time.
Nice.
And Scale is apparently happening in person, at least.
That's the
Currently.
rumor.
Dude, God willing, I really, PennyMac sponsors it. I really hope I get to go.
Yeah, I haven't tried to coordinate whether I'm going to go or not yet. I might try. We'll see.
All right, it is currently on our list, so I hope you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
because I haven't seen Phil in a minute. It's been like, because I don't think he went to Chef Conf 2019. Maybe he did. I don't know. It's been a while.
So a while then.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Chef Conf 2019 was the last conference I went to.
Mm.
And the last like in-person work-related thing I went to was Chef Rally 2020. Because that was in January and then
Right before. Yeah.
So
last of the before time.
Yeah, Chef Conf 2020 was all online. I don't remember if I did a talk at that. I don't think I did.
We went to something. Where the hell did we go? We went to something back in October in Raleigh. What's the thing in October in O'Reilly? No, I know Raleigh. In October in
Things
Raleigh.
open.
All things open. Yeah. We did that, and that was not too bad. Separation was good. They were checking people at the door every day. Blah blah blah. Like O'Reilly. Yeah. I don't know if I'd ever been to like downtown Raleigh before. It's a cute little town.
Have I been to Raleigh? I have been to Raleigh. I went to
we-
IBM.
We got hollowed out on the street by Ducey and Sue. Randomly, somebody in this powder blue Porsche is yelling at us from this as we're crossing the street, and we're like, "Who the frick is Ducey?"
Oh
I
my
don't know.
goodness.
Yeah.
I've seen that kind
I
of
was-
too.
I was just going through photos to try and find DevOps Days Austin stuff for something that we're doing for that this year. And I saw like going through the conference photos, I could see, oh, right, this is when Ducey had the whole goats thing going on. That was a good time.
Yes.
That was a good time.
Yeah. Or he had the chef logo belt buckles made.
Oh my.
Yeah, that was I remember that being entertaining. I think that was in Austin when Chef Conf was in Austin that year, and I'm pretty sure I was in a barbecue coma that entire week. Brisket coma. Oh,
Good way to be.
It's a
here.
good reason to be in a coma, though.
oh yeah, it was so good.
I remember what conference I went to in Austin that I think I had barbecue every meal, including breakfast.
Well, yeah.
I mean, well, breakfast was at like 10 a.m.
Well, yeah.
but yeah,
A couple of eggs on your brisket. Done.
I was perfectly happy to work my way through, brisket and pork and Just that was my variety. What meat was being barbecued?
Yeah. I've adopted intermittent fasting as a habit and as a practice. And so I haven't eaten breakfast regularly in like 4 years.
Yeah, my wife and I started that. We don't eat. Well, we have coffee, but we don't
Yeah.
have anything more than coffee before noon.
Yep. And then I try and stagger my lunch until like 2. But we also usually have dinner around 8 o'clock. So
Instead of the coffee, switch that out with pre-workout. See how that works for you.
I need the elixir of life, or I'm not functional in the morning.
Oh, dude, I love Elixir. Such a great language. Just kidding.
nice.
I did kind of lob that one gently over the plate.
Yeah.
I like the sound of intermittent fasting, but I found that when I actually started eating breakfast, I went from like being a zombie in the mornings to being able to really function. So yeah, because I used to skip. I don't eat breakfast. It just didn't work for me. It wasn't also
Potentially
regimented, so maybe I was just doing it wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You could potentially do breakfast and lunch rather than focusing on the later day.
Yeah.
Be a zombie at night is less problematic, maybe.
might actually get me to bed at a decent time.
Yeah, I still have sleep issues, so like I have to set an alarm for 11:30 at night to be like, okay, it's really time to at least try to go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
It's always fucking DNS, man.
That's why we're all short on sleep.
No, I was just trying to ping an internal machine of mine, and I realized I tried to get to it's on my local home network, and I went to the .local. Yes, I went to the .local name for it, and it went to the freaking Tailscale interface. It's like I don't need to go across the VPN. I'm home.
I have all the old books.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's Cricket and there's Evie.
Yeah, Armadillo, and I've got the Crab book over there.
There's a mail book.
You know, I don't have the Sunmail book. I have gloriously never had to administer SendMail in my entire career.
Somewhere I have managing internet information services, which covers Gopher and WAIS.
Yeah.
And a few other, my name might even be in it because I helped proofread a couple chapters for Brian.
Nice. Yeah.
That one's completely useless now.
You don't still Gopher?
It's Gopher.
Not so much. Yeah. I wonder if there is a Gopher server anywhere in the world now.
I feel like somebody brought that up recently and mentioned one. Like I think Gopher still exists.
And YS or what area, whatever. WAS, how about that one?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I did Qmail for my personal SMTP years and years ago, and then when I was at the tiny company that I worked at right after college before IBM, that one was actually on Postfix. And then IBM, there was SendMail for local mail on a couple of the Solaris accounts, but we moved everything over to Postfix in the time that I was there.
Postfix was definitely the most pleasant to administer.
Well,
Yeah.
and that I could find Vitsi Venema on the local IBM IRC channels.
Yeah.
Like there was a Postfix
He was
channel.
super
He was always in
responsive,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Always helping people out. Yeah, it was great. It was great. So yeah, and then after IBM at Sands, we ran Qmail with like all of the open source. We switched to Zimbra.
Hmm.
And then but somebody else was the Zimbra person. And then I left, and I wrote a postfix cookbook for Chef. As you do.
There's pretty good odds I would have used that.
Yeah.
At SendGrid, we had some postfix sitting behind the scenes for something.
Now I'm curious. Does it still exist? Oh, it's a sous chef. It's a sous chef cookbook now. Contributors. It was so long ago that my name isn't even on this cookbook. Oh my goodness. 11 years of postfix cookbook. Yeah. My name would have been on one before this repo. Good times. But who uses postfix anymore, right?
I have no
It's
interest in
still out
writing my
there.
own mail. If I was,
Yeah,
I'd probably go
will-
postfix, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't done
Yeah.
well in quite a while.
I don't host my own mail anymore, but as an MTA on a server, it's still postfix.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I was gonna say something snarky about, SNS topics or something.
Oh, and internally, we actually, I had a small, not really outage, but I don't know, several months ago, we had an issue where something went amok in the company and was emailing the entire company, including the executives and the company that acquired us, the executives at that company as well. And it was postfix, and I was like, oh, I actually know how to fix this. I even know how to tell it that it's only allowed to email these 4 people. And
Right. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
like legacy crap is still useful when you don't expect it.
Legacy crap can be very lucrative.
Oh,
I don't know that I call it legacy though.
postfix it's not quite yet, but it will be soon.
I have a buddy, my former next door neighbor actually, who retired and had spent a bunch of time at like EMC and NetApp and places like that. And somebody he knew called him up and was like, hey, I want you to consult for my, it was a subcontractor to a contractor to Apple. And my buddy, had literally had just retired, and he's like, I've hit my number. I'm good. I'm retiring. But they waved a number at him, and he was like, oh, you want for only 20 hours a week, and it's only phone consultation? Because he's not allowed to touch anything. He's like, all I get to do is meet Puppet an Apple employee through like some NetApp problem. And now it's been like 4 years, I think, since he got this gig, and he still has it. And he's like, I tell them, oh, I'm going to Japan because my wife and I want to go watch baseball. I'm going to be back in 10 weeks. And they say, but we don't want that. He's like, well, if I come back and I have a job, great. And if I don't, also great. He's living the dream.
I have a friend whose mother did some COBOL mainframey stuff for systems that I think government and a few other like large organizations use, and that was it. It ended up she and some guy in Wyoming were the 2 people left that consulted on this stuff. So it was pretty much name your
Yeah.
name your what you want, and set it high enough that they don't call you unless it's really bad.
Nice.
Yeah, I have a friend of a friend who's I want to say his grandfather was a COBOL programmer and came out of retirement for Y2K. And he's like, yeah, this is why I have no student loans, and none of my cousins have student loans. Because Gramps charged, he's like, he charged them like half a laptop a day.
I graduated from DeVry in 1999, so my destiny was to become a COBOL programmer.
You actually went to DeVry? That's crazy. Wow.
Yep. Yeah. The program was so DeVry goes to companies. They say, "What do you want DeVry CIS graduates to know 4 years from now?" And then they build their program. So they're like, "Oh, that's going to be 1999. Yeah, they need to fix Y2K bugs in COBOL." So I took like 6 different classes in various COBOL things. I haven't written COBOL since college because Office Space came out that year. And I looked at Peter, I'm like, oh man, I do not want to be that guy because he's miserable. And if that's what writing COBOL does, then I want no part of that.
That's all right. I did a whole bunch of C and Lisp and Scheme and a bunch of other things that I basically don't ever touch now. So, I mean, the C thing I think is good to have in the background, just so you
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
understand that lower level. But
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I remember my C class when they started talking about, okay, you know, and I had already been doing C, and I'm an old, so I remember like back when you could specify register variables and that actually meant something. And yeah, when I did that in the class, it was a 1 credit C class that I needed because I was a returning student, and certain classes that I needed to finish my degree were only offered certain semesters, but I needed to be above 12 credits because of reasons. So I took this class and I turned in the first homework assignment with register variables for the inner loop. And the professor's like, why don't you just do the last program assignment and we'll just call that your grade and be done? Because anybody who remembers about registers doesn't need to be taking, intro to C. And that was the last C code that I wrote. I think that last program assignment may very well be the last program I wrote in C, because it's just so painful to work with strings. And, as you all know, what do we do all day? Massage strings.
Yep. Everything is a CSV.
Yeah.
or YAML.
YAML's
Yeah,
a
YAML's a
little less,
CSV.
YAML's
too
less
much YAML.
painful than CSV.
It's easier to read, but
Yeah.
my work
I'd rather-
theory is
yeah.
that everything's just a bad database.
Yeah. If I had to write a parser, I'd much rather write a CSV parser than a YAML parser.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I'd much rather just grab a YAML parser and use that than a CSV parser,
Yeah.
because then I've got to decide, is it quotes? Is it single quotes? Is it double quotes? What happens with a new line?
Yeah.
Or
These
you
are
give
all
a
things I
nested quote.
desperately want to not care about.
Yes. Like, I don't know. I just downloaded this file. I just want it in data.
Totally.
I like to tell people sometimes, because it's easy to forget, I like to tell people that YAML is actually a superset of JSON.
Yeah.
And I didn't even believe that at first when I read it, and then it all made sense. But if you try to write JSON in YAML, YAMLint will start complaining. They'll get all mad at you. So
Yeah, we're all just marshalling data types back and forth.
yeah, I've always called DevOps YAML engineering, and now I've officially become DevOps. So I'm a YAML engineer. Maybe soon to be an HCL or a Q engineer, or a TOML engineer.
So it's going to be
Boy,
Whatever
I
your
don't know
flavor
which
of
is
it.
worse there between HCL and YAML. Neither one filled me with joy.
I mean, I don't love YAML. I prefer it to JSON, if only because you can put comments in it. So
Yeah.
it's like if I'm writing something, the config file is likely going to be just a YAML blob, and it's really just going to be, this is dirty and nasty, and all it's really doing is making a data structure for us to override the whatever default values, but at least it has comments.
I put an example of a JSON comment right there in the chat.
No. Technically, yes, but no.
Just write an ignore fields method into your program.
Just write a wrapper that'll strip out any lines that start with a hash sign.
Or have them parse the repository and just strip out any commits that were made by Jay Timberman. I mean,
there you go.
They actually came up with a JSON-C extension specifically for JSON with comments, which literally, if JSON is a subset of JavaScript, all you got to do is add another feature in JavaScript, the 2 forward slashes for comments. Simplest thing ever.
It amazes me that hasn't the JSON with comments, like, yeah.
There was a what was the editor that had the pink logo that was really popular with Rails programmers years ago?
Not RubyMine.
TextMate or Ruby.
TextMate.
Yeah.
TextMate had a JSON plugin thing that you could write comments in your JSON files, and it would preserve them in the file, but then when it had to save it to do like your cap deploy or something like that, it would strip them out. It was kind of slick.
Talk about tool locking.
Right?
Yeah.
That could probably be converted to like a pre-commit
non-standard thing with your files, and we'll maintain that for you. We'll keep that
fine.
Yeah.
What was it? Did you send in your license fee?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was a $50 license. Companies that are hiring Rails programmers, they have plenty of money to spend on TextMate licenses, right?
Yeah.
They're all the hip cool startups.
I did use TextMate for a while. I'm on VS Code now. VS Code and Vim. Yeah.
I haven't written any meaningful code in a while.
So you've successfully transitioned into management then.
Yeah, but I don't have any direct reports, so it's kind of a weird thing.
Yeah.
Startup life. We haven't been able to make the hires yet.
That's where I am now. I'm a VP and no direct reports. But we're also 8 people, so eventually.
Yeah, and here you are screwing around with DNS.
That's my home shit.
Oh, it's even worse. Oh, yeah. Golly. Well, we're at the top of the hour, friends, and I have to run. So thank you all for joining and conversing. It was good to see you.
Good seeing you all.
This was fun. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks.